It's Christmas time in Hanoi, and although Christmas isn't a traditional holiday here, it is starting to become more popular. This is Hang Ma Street in the Old Quarter, and here you can find pretty much anything to do with Christmas. It's kind of intense here. I don't think I've ever really seen anywhere, even back home, that has this much kind of Christmas stuff in like one place. I just want to point out that this isn't really typical across the city. You do see kind of Christmas displays in like shopping centres and things like that, but they kind of look a bit sad compared to this. You see, Hanoi kind of has this unique system where entire streets are centred around the type of goods that they sell. So you can find places like Shoe Street, which sells exclusively shoes, or Tea Street, which sells tea. There's a street to pick up all your tools, there's a street for lights, there's a street for sewing materials, and there's even a street you can go to pick up a kitchen sink. So Hang Ma, where we are now, is normally Toy Street throughout the year, but when it gets to December, it just gets completely taken over by Christmas. Bao nhiêu tiền? 250. Okay, for Hai 400. I'm down here to pick up a Santa suit, which I need for a pretty unique event. It's called the 12 Hois of Christmas. 400? Come on. So, the 12 Hois of Christmas happens every year when a group of people get dressed up as Santa and then go to visit 12 different beer hois across the city. So, what is a beer hoi? This is a beer hoi. It's reported to be the world's cheapest draft beer. It typically costs around 8,000 Vietnamese dong, which is only about 35 cents. But sometimes you can find it even cheaper than that. So everywhere you go, it's served in these kind of like iconic glasses, which are handmade here in the city from recycled glass. Beer hoi translates to fresh beer, and it really is fresh because they brew it without any preservatives, which means that once it's open, you have to drink it within 24 hours. Every morning, riders and trucks will head out with fresh barrels, and they'll pick up the empty ones from the day before, taking them back to the brewery, which is here in Hanoi. But I think it's important to understand that beer hoi doesn't just refer to the drink. This is a beer hoi, and this is a beer hoi. 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 Even this is a beer hoi. And this. Oh, this is his bike. Beer hois are found all over the city. They come in all shapes and sizes. They're normally pretty basic, you know, plastic chairs, plastic tables, plastic jugs, and they almost always have pretty questionable toilets. But they all sell beer hoi, which is, you know, the most important thing.
Well, let's start with beers.
Yeah, please.
Emily!
This is John Burke and Will Langslet. They're the ones responsible for creating the 12 Hois of Christmas.
So we came here first back in 2002, and everybody drank in Bay Hois, and that was where you went. Like, you went between 5 and 8 every evening. That's Hanoi on a plate. It's like the best of the best in there. Just everybody shouting and roaring at each other, enjoying themselves. Oh, and all gone home for dinner by 8:30. Yeah. So it's great. Yeah, Bay Hois are a truly local institution in the old part of Hanoi anyways.
I caught up with John and Will to find out how this all started.
Do you want to go first? I know what I remember.
Your story.
We were saying this before, and
well, I think we independently came to it. Did we?
What I remember is I was probably this time of year, or a few weeks before, sitting out at Hois. I mean, Hois is, let's face it, it's probably terrible to say, but probably a lot of us and our friends wouldn't be in Hanoi if not for Hois. This is one of our favorite things.
I've definitely missed 2 flights because of Hois. Like.
So sitting at a Hois with friends, and there's a thing we do in Portland called, there's many names, do it all over in North America, but Santa Rampage or Santa Palooza, where everybody just dresses up as Santa and does a pub crawl. And yeah, a lot of cheer and avoiding parents trying to get their children to avoid Santa on the train home. Like, he doesn't want to hear what you want this year right now. So saying to some friends, it would be great if we all love Hois. It'd be great if we dressed up as Santa and just went to some Hois. Yeah. And of course, as always happens in Hois, everyone said 100% I'm in. And then a few days later, just kind of gave up on the idea. And then later mentioned it to John, and John told me that he had a different idea that he'd also given up on.
Well, no, like when I came back mid 2012, and like everyone had moved out to Hill and stuff, and it was great. You know, I like a burrito and a craft beer as much as the next person, but I did miss the Bay Hois, and especially people weren't going to loads of the city like south of 1km and stuff, like really cool streets, really cool areas, really cool Bay Hois, and I was bitching and moaning to my friends that like we don't do this anymore, and like it was, I think Johnny and Giles I was out with, they were like, we'll do something about it. And I was going, okay. So I came out thinking, right, 12 Hois, that'd be a way to visit at least 12 Bay Hois on a day. But I wasn't thinking suits, I wasn't really thinking Santa, I was just thinking more to get back to Bay Hois and appreciate Bay Hois and see some of the town. And and again, made a plan, backed out of it, said I wasn't going to do it. And then we met at the beginning of December, and I think in the space of 3 days we decided it was happening.
Yeah, I remember the first conversation, we were talking about these two great ideas that were definitely not going to happen, and then at some stage going, well, maybe we should try actually.
But this is from Gareth O'Hara. Okay. The very first 12 Hois map that was done on a Tuesday, December, whatever, like a hammered Tuesday driving around, and that was the very first route. So you know.
First time we set up the route, it was John Burke's idea. It's come obviously from the 12 Hois of Christmas, the 12 pubs of Christmas, and he had a dream to do a 12 Hois of Christmas for many, many years. Most of the time he was living away from here, dreaming about being back, and just wanted to relive his years in Hanoi. And then he miraculously arrived back here to live again. He's all right, I'm going to do it. So we took a day off work, wandered around the old quarter, from here basically up to Doon Thang, and just tried to find 12 Hois that would serve us as a good route.
Things change so much, especially in the old part of town. It's like, is the Bay Hois still there? Can we fit in more than 10 people into here? All that stuff.
Sometimes you've got to find where the Bay Hois move on to. And tonight also Bay Hois number 11 is what used to be Bay Hois number 7. And so these places, they do have to move around. They've all got their identity, they've got their following. But the addresses don't match the names anymore. Where you find them.
This year we start 2 weeks ago, just the last week in November, me, Johnny and Gareth met up and took one for the team. Went every Bay Hois along the way. I think we were sensible and only drank at every third one, but you know, it's an essential part of the trip. Ladies and gentlemen, Santis, welcome to the 2019 12 Hois of Christmas. The shouts will get louder as the day goes on. If you could just take your time in any order, go up. The guys are taking money over here, Dan and Johnny, 700 pop. They'll give you a little blue wristband, and that means nobody will ask you for cash for the rest of the day, and you get your dinner at the end of it, well, in the middle of it, and as much beer as you can put away in a reasonable manner. All right? Okay, let's get started. Enjoy the day. So the first year wasn't about raising money at all. It was just about Bay Hois and Santa Seats and stuff, and then we basically we ended up at the end of that, we had so much money left over. It was like, what are we going to do? I think the first 3 ideas were go drinking again, and then we were like, well, no, let's, you know, the Christmas thing. So we got involved, we passed that money on to Blue Dragon.
It's a children's foundation. They take care of street kids, kids from vulnerable, challenging backgrounds.
Incredibly, you know, brave people who go into China to get people who've been trafficked there and get them back to their hometowns in Vietnam and supply them, you know, give them support when they come back and counselling.
Good education, counselling, job training. It's an amazing organization.
It's our battery, you twat. You didn't charge it.
I got a spare battery. Why is it not working? I got a spare battery. What are you pressing? I'm pressing.
You may have noticed that John and Will have particularly special Santa suits. Turns out they're actually tailor-made.
As I said, because Will was the only one who started pushing for Santa suits, and that's not a thing we do in Ireland. So I was like, I don't think I want to wear a Santa suit. That sounds stupid. And then he bought a load of suits. So I wore that for the first year, and then for the second year I think, we'll go back to it. And just because Hanoi is the city where everything is possible. There's a woman called Miss Thuy, and she turned up and measured my inner thigh and was going like, you want what? And I said, I don't know, but I wanted it to be velvety and 70s, but Christmassy. And she was going, 3 words I don't understand. And she gave me this, and she's a fucking legend.
At this point, I went ahead of the main group with some people known as the Outriders.
So we realized pretty quickly that if you're trying to get from 80 to 120 beers poured when everybody's here, it's going to take far too long.
Well, what happens is if you turn up to Beer Hoi and you ask for 120 beers, then people will give you 2 beers.
Well, there's only 2 of us.
There's only 2 of you. So you get the 2 beers. When you insist on 120 beers, it's always hard to actually get them to pour 120 beers. But there's nothing better than when you turn up to the Beer Hoi, as we will shortly, and you get 120 beers lined up. So it actually takes a bit of time to pour 120 beers, particularly if John Burke doesn't stick to schedule as requested.
So 15 minutes ahead, we just bung off from the last Beer Hoi, get up to the next one and beg them for 120 beers. Cheers.
Cheers, all, cheers. Cheers, Outriders.
What else, Commando?
Chapter chap.
So we're at beer Hoy number 7. Most people are starting to get a little bit tipsy at this point. You know, 2 beers, 3 beers at each Hoy. So here is actually where we stop for dinner. So everyone can kind of soak up the beer with a bit of rice, and then we're going to have some Christmas carols. And the Christmas carols are more Hanoi themed than just regular Christmas carols. One of my favourite things about this whole event is the reactions that you get from Vietnamese people, because they're not a Christian country, they don't celebrate Christmas, but they've seen it online, they've seen it on media, they've seen it in films, and then they see Westerners dressed up as Santa and drinking loads of beer and walking through the streets. So maybe they think that back home this is all we do for Christmas.
Thank you so much.
Hey, happy Christmas. Bye bye.
Merry Christmas.
Bye bye.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Bye bye.
We made it. It's beer Hoy number 12. I think that most people are pretty pissed by this point. I've kind of lost track of how many beers I've had, but it's been a great day. And I think that the best part about it all is that most people here are living in Vietnam, and it's not that same sort of vibe here. But having the 12 Hois of Christmas, it's something to look forward to. It's something about Christmas, and it makes us all feel in the spirit of things.